I don't want
Hi.
to dream of Carcosa.
Well, perfectly ominous start to our video recording. My name is Shane. I use they and them pronouns. This is the 10th session in our campaign of Impossible Landscapes. This game was organised through the Open Hearth calendar. The Open Hearth gaming community is an online community that plays and talks about lots of role-playing games, especially Indian story games. If you want to find out more or come play a game with us, check out openhearthgaming.com. I have a little bit of admin to go over before we start. I talked to Blake and Mark about this last week, but Brandon and Puckett weren't here, so I just wanted to go over it briefly again. That there are some parts of the resilience, which obviously is sort of the risk in sanity mechanics, that I've been forgetting to call for and just wanted to go over. So one is that anytime you lose resilience to either violence or helplessness without hitting your breaking point or becoming overwhelmed, there's a little box on the character keeper you can mark, and if you mark 3 of those boxes before you hit a breaking point or become overwhelmed when it resets, your character will become adapted to either violence or helplessness, as the case may be. The other thing that I've been forgetting is that when any of you have a notably traumatic experience as part of the group, you should be making a roll to see if you start forming bonds with the other agents at the expense of your existing relationships. So just wanted to let you know, I'm going to try to remember those rules better as we continue, but didn't want it to seem like a sudden change so much as just me trying to remember all of the rules. I hope that makes sense. Also, by way of admin, we're using the usual set of safety tools. I think after 10 sessions, you're all familiar with those, but if you need to ask anything about them, you're very welcome to. I will ask the players now to introduce themselves and their characters. Brandon, do you want to take us off first this week?
Sure. Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm playing Tara Reinhardt, who was a firefighter when she first got involved with Delta Green Lodies many years ago, and is now a station chief. She's trained in firefighter, paramedic. She has a family and two children, one on the verge of just starting college, and the other one 12. She was dragged into this business quite unwillingly by what she felt like that was the threat of violence against her family.
So I was interested because this kind of came up for Felix last week. Has Tara been in touch with her family over the last few days? Like, are you making calls back? Because you have
Yes.
You've told them you're away at some sort of conference or something.
Yes, I'm calling them every day. I was concerned at the outset that I might not be able to do that, but I'm certainly going to call them and reassure them that everything's fine.
Are they totally buying that you're at a suddenly announced 5-day firefighting conference? Are they
well, I said I was filling in for someone.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's the reason it wasn't announced, and I haven't stepped out on my husband, and so they've our family life has been, ordinarily tumultuous, but not difficult, and so I think there's concern. It's like, okay, because I told them that it was going to be a week-long thing. So if turns out to be more than that may be a problem.
All right, but for now, it's all reasonably smooth. All right, thank you, Mark.
Hello, I am Mark. My pronouns are he, him, and they, them, and I'm playing Yelena Anisimov, whose pronouns are she, her, former KGB anthropologist, current murderer. So there's that. What else to say about her? I kind of got caught up on the murder thing. Doing her best, doing her best to survive as a, and do things that she's not so young and spry any longer. But managed to run around an entire mall in time, which was a feat.
Question in the chat of whether murder or manslaughter are. I think you clearly murdered Dr. Barbas. Probably not,
100% murder.
probably not
He's
murder.
not dead though, so it's not murder.
Well, interesting question. If you like were in real life, if you murder someone and they're officially dead but resuscitated by like ambulance staff, does that count as murder? I guess it probably doesn't.
Attempted.
Probably just attempted. Yeah.
Attempt, yeah. Yeah. But certainly, I think you would have a reasonable self-defense excuse for defense at the mall.
He's fine. He's doing well.
Just since I asked about family before, does Yelena still have family, either in the States or Russia?
I think that I'm just gonna make something up now. I think that obviously during the time of the Cold War and before the Iron Curtain fell, she was not in contact with any family, and I think only has in the last 10 years, I would say, reconnected with a sister. That's what I'm gonna say.
Interesting. Cool. Thank you. Blake, what about you?
I am Blake he him playing Felix he him, who is a physicist / teacher at MIT. Recently barely survived a shootout in an abandoned shopping mall. Everything's going really well.
Last week before the mall ambush, you had quite a brief conversation with your family. When you were shot and thought you might die, did you wish that you'd been? Was there anything that you wished you'd said? Like, what was kind of going through your mind?
What was going through his mind?
Yeah.
He should have told Yelena how he felt when he was younger.
Interesting. Thank you. And hopefully he'll still get a chance to do that if it's still relevant. Puckett.
Hey there, I'm Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing Sarah Bradford, who uses she, her pronouns. And, well, a long time ago, she used to be an art forger, and now she just kind of does her own art, and she still has a ridiculous amount of knowledge about the occult. And, is probably not going to be too thrilled about everything that went down last week.
I don't know if anyone's too thrilled about it.
I mean, if Felix wants to run off and get himself killed, that's fine. Leave my wife out of it.
A reasonable perspective. So, I mean, I've asked everyone else about their family. I understand that Sarah is largely estranged from her family, or at least I think that's the case. Are there any family members that you're still at all close with or in touch with?
After I started figuring out that my dad was the problem and that my mom was just kind of trying to protect me from his whatever the hell it was. I mean, maybe he was trying to get us sacrificed into a cult or something like that. I don't know. But after his death, she and I kind of gradually started tentatively talking. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a particularly warm or good relationship, but we're working at it.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. That must be the most positive note anyone's struck in any of these sessions in quite some time. Thank you. So, our regular starter session question about how the influence of Carcosa is manifesting. All of you recently, whenever you use the telephone, you think you hear parts of another conversation faintly in the background, like a crossed line. So I'm going to ask each of you, what disconcerting thing have you overheard? Starting with Tara, if that's okay. You're muted, Brandon.
Yes, I was just saying, all right. Let's see. Um, I've overheard a conversation of two people arranging to meet at an intersection that does not exist. And in fact, I mean, the street names I've never heard of.
Interesting. Thank you. Yelena?
I think that I overheard a like so if anybody watched Stranger Things and there was like a Russian code that they had to break in like season 3. So I'd say like I overheard that. So like just random Russian words spoken like over in intervals, but the words were slightly off. Like it sounded Russian, but they were saying things that were like not quite real words, interspersed with Yelena's name and the names of her associates.
Interesting. Thank you. Felix, what about you?
It's a conversation where I'm explaining to someone why I need to kill my auntie. She was the one that died.
Yeah. Very interesting. Wow, thank you. And Sarah?
I overhear a conversation between a woman and her mother. And the woman's concerned because she's pregnant. And yet every single other pregnant person that she's aware of for the last several months has either miscarried or their babies have been born or have been stillborn.
All right. Thank you all. So I'm going to recap now where we're at in the story. I think it's fair to say things are going pretty badly for the group right now. Maybe the worst they've been for some time. You are, well, I guess like question mark, still investigating the disappearance of 4 patients from the Dorchester House. The patients were all Delta Green agents who had what were considered delusions regarding a place called Carcosa. You now believe that there was also another Delta Green cell that went missing while investigating related events, including an agent named Michael Whitwer, who some of you had met 20 years ago on the night floors of the McAllister building, which obviously is impossible. You also sort of found yourself caught between several versions of Delta Green. You're reporting now to a case officer named Melissa. Felix had also arranged to be debriefed by a case officer named Bart, and we'll get more into that in a second. But Melissa basically warned you that Bart was not affiliated with the official program, was involved in a kind of outlaw version of Delta Green that was illegal and illegitimate beyond the ways that regular Delta Green is illegal and illegitimate. And you also have a phone given to you by Dr. Barbas, who you now know was corrupted, which connects you with someone who also seems to be part of Delta Green, unclear whether connected to Melissa or Bart or neither. Barbas is now in custody on terror charges, despite the fact that Yelena recently executed him. And that brings us to the debriefing. So you arrived at Trivellino Mall for the debriefing, but found it was an ambush. You came under attack by trained killers with automatic weapons. All of you escaped, perhaps in part thanks to assistance from an unknown woman who called Felix to say that her debt to him was now repaid. Maybe in part with the help of the strange golden children that some of you saw, and one of whom sort of climbed inside Tara's body. Yelena and Felix are both shot, both quite badly hurt. As we start, you are heading to the Dorchester House because even though it's a psychiatric hospital, it's the only medical facility you know of with a Delta Green friendly who can be trusted to be discreet. Now, Parker, you weren't here this week, but Sarah remembers all of this, remembers being part of it. You remember it in an oddly distanced way when you think about it, as if you had watched it on television or seen it in a theatre. But you do remember it. The rest of you also remember Sarah being part of all of these events. Although if you try and like focus on, what specifically did Sarah do at a given moment or say, you can't really remember any of those kind of details. It just sort of slips away. So that's where we're starting. Anything that anyone wants to add or ask, just in terms of where we're up to before we go?
Yes, I object to the term executed. That's way more harsh than murdered.
I think when you put a gun to the back of a bound person's head and pull the trigger, that's an execution.
I hate to split semantics, but look, I realize there's differences in Australian English and American English and even Canadian English, but executed is the word we would use in America. Just saying.
All right. Well, hopefully you won't need to negotiate with this with the actual legal system.
Well, I don't think the legal section makes a big distinction. Sorry.
Look, he's alive and being pursued on terrorism charges. That makes Yelena a hero, right?
That's right. That's right.
Cements my reputation
It
in
makes her not
the
a
American
murderer,
mind.
at least in the legal system. Okay, is it time to stop the meta conversation?
Yeah, let's get going. So as you drive towards the Dorchester, the radio news is going to include.
Of course, Sarah is driving, and because she always has been driving.
Sarah, if you're happy with that, you certainly always have been the driver.
Sure.
So there's a lot of radio news stories that seem to relate to the things that have been going on. It starts almost to the point of it being overwhelming unless you decide to switch it off. So there's reports about Barbas. There's reports that the serial killer suspect who'd recently been arrested has escaped from custody. There's even like a human interest story about these self-help groups called the Encounter Group that are changing lives all across America. Lots of things that seem oddly connected. Tara, every time they say anything on the radio that sort of connects to the stuff that's been happening for you, you feel this strange feeling inside your body, like a tingling or maybe a mild cramping. Not your whole body, but also not like a small specific part of your body. And as it continues to happen, what you realize is that it's roughly the size and shape inside you of the golden child who stepped into your body. Do any of you...
What seems to be triggering off this feeling?
Like anything that's said on the radio that connects to the investigation or to Carcosa. Anything about Barbas, anything about the Encounter Group, that sort of thing.
I'm feeling Carcosa.
You mean you feel like going in a play or something, or what do you mean by that?
Whenever they reference Carcosa, whenever they reference anything having to do with our investigation or what we're doing or things that shouldn't be but are, I get a weird physical sensation. Not a hallucination or anything like that, or thinking that things are other than what they are. It feels like almost like a paresthesia, tingling, like nerve.
Yeah, so it's like you're on their frequency or something. We might.
It's because of that thing.
Great.
I still don't know. I still don't know what that was or what it means. Clearly, it wasn't a child.
But no, I'm pretty confident on that bit. Whether it was a hallucination or an alien or
Wasn't.
I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, Sarah, don't take the lake road. Okay, there's always bad traffic at this time of day.
Well, I mean, it's the middle
Will you
of the
just
night.
make sure my wife doesn't die, please?
Doing that That's why you're driving.
So I mean, the traffic
Right.
would be light.
She's stable. It's Felix I'm worried about.
So it is late at night, so the traffic's not a problem. You'll get to the Dorchester House reasonably quickly.
Yeah, Tara mentioned the lake road, which does not exist.
Mm.
Boston doesn't have a lake.
Of course. So nevertheless, you pull up before too long outside the Dorchester. There's a little cluster of nurses and orderlies outside the loading bay with wheelchairs and stretchers and things like that.
I get out and start directing traffic.
Okay, they'll be happy to take
I'm
your
very
instructions.
I'm very used to this. In fact, this is my expertise. Okay, no, all right. We need. Do you have stretchers? Okay,
So
if not, you're going to have to be. Let's go really slow, really careful. Got gunshot wounds, both cases. Abdominal wound in and out here. Don't think it hit the. I don't. No sign of peritonitis. This one mostly soft tissue wounds, but a number of them smaller caliber.
So one of the nurses is going to look to you, Tara, who surely is pretty covered in blood at this point, and ask if you've been hit.
No, not. I was. I helped one of the patients get to safety.
All right. So we've set up. So they're putting Yelena and Felix.
Come on,
on
let's go.
stretchers.
Let's go. Let's get some IV started.
They're wheeling the stretchers inside. I think the nurse will start asking you questions since you've taken charge. More medical details.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting an IV on Yelena as I'm giving them the rundown.
And they'll ask, Yelena and Felix about medication allergies and things like that.
Bullets? I'm allergic to bullets. It's really hurting.
All right. Oh, she looks a little nervous. Like there's a tension across all of them. Like they're not, they're all
not used
trained
to this
medical
sort of
professionals,
stuff.
but this is not what's supposed to be happening here.
I look at them and I go. This is the procedure, and I just run down standard trauma, life support.
Yeah. So
I'm so glad Tara's here.
No, I mean, I'm not. Tara's not a surgeon. Okay, she can't. She
no, but I'm saying out loud, I'm so glad Tara's here.
She can't patch you up, but for the emergency procedure, I mean, she runs. Yeah. She teaches that. She, in fact, has taught advanced trauma life support. So she just tells the nurse, calm down, sweetheart. Now do this. Do this. Do you have any ringers? No. Okay. Normal saline will be fine.
So she's going to say, as you go inside, everyone, please try and keep your voices down. Some of the patients can get very agitated if they're woken. We've set up an examination room for treatment, and Dr. Dallin is on his way, and then leads you all towards the examination room. Could I get all of you to make alertness checks for me?
What a surprise. Failed.
You're flat on your back.
Yeah, you're not noticing much.
Yes.
That's a success?
It is a success.
Yelena, is that a success for you?
That is not a success.
All right. So Tara, because you're very alert to the situation as a whole, you can't help but notice as everyone's sort of wheeled down the corridor, there's, most of these staff, maybe you haven't spoken to them before, but you recognize a few of the faces from the last time you were here. But there's an orderly bringing up the rear who stands out to you, not only as unfamiliar, but as just an enormous man with a sort of grimacing expression. And you see that he has, at first it looks like some sort of truncheon hanging from his belt, but you realize he's actually carrying like a sawn-off baseball bat that's been sanded down into the size of a club. He is wearing, orderly sort of uniform, but something about him doesn't seem right to you. They lead the four of you around, a few corners.
Yeah, I poke Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
and say something wrong with the big guy. Get ready for trouble. Don't know why.
You know, we had already established that Sarah had a firearm.
Mhm.
I'm going to turn around and just shoot the son of a bitch in the knee.
You don't have a gun. When you reach for it, it's not there, and you realize that you're wearing hospital pajamas. And a moment after that, you realize that all four of you are wearing hospital pajamas.
Is our orderly with the truncheon still there?
Yeah, he's still behind you. The group that brought you in here is still with you, and continuing to move you down the corridors.
So we don't have any of our stuff, right? Presumably.
That's what you're going to realize if you try and reach for any of your stuff.
No.
Is there anything in the hall that I can see that I can use as a weapon?
I mean, there's probably fire extinguishers you could pick up and wield.
Okay.
Fire
I'm
extinguisher.
going to pick up the fire extinguisher and just unload it in his face.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think you can get off a surprise round before he gets to act. So make a melee roll.
That is, please.
Oh no! It's a fumble.
I believe that's a critical failure.
Well, hold on. Are we doing? You said melee?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this isn't really unarmed, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh well. So get
So
to melee.
So he pretty easily ducks out of the way of the. In fact, actually, he doesn't even duck out of the way. He just lets you hit him with the fire extinguisher. He doesn't seem fazed by it in the slightest. He swats it out of your hand, grabs you by the collar, and says, "Now, Sarah, we're not going to see this kind of behavior again, are we?" And just sort of continues marching down the hall, holding you and dragging you with him.
Oh,
What do you say?
can
So,
I run
how did he
over and
grab
try
me?
and trip him up, or?
You're on a stretcher.
Yeah.
Although
Oh, so I'm still on a stretcher. Okay.
you realize now that you're not in pain the way you were just outside.
Right. I feel like I passed out and woke up in this half an hour or something. What the?
How did this guy grab me?
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Puckett.
How did he grab me?
He's grabbed you by the sort of collar of the pajamas that you're wearing.
Like by the front or by the back?
By the back, I
pajamas.
think.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna just kind of tuck it into a ball and kick back with my legs as hard as I can.
All right, so I'm just going to ask the others what they're doing before we resolve
Sure.
that to see if we're going to go into a full initiative situation or not.
Is anyone? Well, how did anyone else react other than us
To
Sarah's
the
blasting him with the fire extinguisher?
make a human roll.
Okay. Yes.
So the nurses and orderlies react like they've seen this sort of thing before. They're not totally surprised by it, but it makes them a little uncomfortable. It's consistent with what you'd expect from, staff in a psychiatric facility. From what
Okay.
you've seen
So
before.
they're treating us like patients, in other words.
Yeah.
Rather than they're being operatives or something like that are.
Yeah, that's the impression.
They're shamming something they genuinely think we're patients.
Yeah, that's right.
Shit.
Felix, you are on a stretcher, but not in pain like you were before. What are you going to do?
Okay. I'll yell out, "Hey, where are you taking her?" I'm trying to distract him, basically.
Okay. one of the nurses will say, well, it's time for group therapy. Elena, what are you doing?
I'm also on a stretcher, right? Similar situation as Felix, like not as, don't feel as much pain.
You don't feel like you've been shot.
Okay. Who is like, is there any, like who's wheeling us?
Yeah, one of the orderlies must be pushing you.
Just one of, okay. Is there anybody like walking beside my stretcher?
Sure.
Okay. Do they have anything attached to them or on them or holding?
If they're psychiatric staff, they probably don't. Unfortunately.
Probably not.
Nothing obvious that you could grab and use as a weapon, if that's the question.
Okay, then fist it is. Since Sarah decided to attack, I'm going to follow suit since I trust her judgment. So since I'm strapped to a stretcher, somebody's walking beside me.
Well,
I
you're
am
not
going.
strapped down. You're lying on a
Oh,
stretcher.
not strapped. Sorry, lying on a stretcher. Somebody beside me. I'm just gonna like punch them in the groin,
Okay.
whoever they might be.
Okay, so we're going to go into initiative order. So that's going to be by dex. Let's see. Sarah, what's your dex?
Two seconds here.
Yeah, no.
Dex is 10.
Cool. Tara, what about you?
14.
Felix?
12.
Cool. And Yelena?
Also 10.
Cool. All right. So, Tara, you can see that things are about to break down into some sort of a brawl. You're a little faster than anyone else here. What are you going to do?
I'm trying to get his weapon.
Okay.
So I'm at least trying to lock it up, and if possible, to get it away from him.
Okay. So there will be an unarmed attack.
Yeah.
Or an unarmed combat roll.
No.
All right. You snatch at it, but it's pretty securely attached to his belt. He hasn't drawn it yet.
Okay.
The orderlies are going to take their turn now as a group. Each of them is going to try and grapple one of you, except for the big one, who's going to try and hit Sarah, since restraining her hasn't worked so far. So that's going to be unarmed combat rolls against each of you. So we'll go left to right across. Tara, one of them is going to successfully grab you, get you into some sort of, I don't know, wrist lock or controlling hold or something like that. Yelena, same thing. One of them, before you're able to strike their groin, like intercepts, sees it coming, grabs for your wrist. If you want, because you haven't taken an action yet this round, you can use your action for the round to dodge. So make a dodge roll, but that means that you won't be able to take a more proactive thing this round. Do you want to dodge?
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt to dodge.
Cool.
Pass.
Okay, so this person tries to grab you. You're able to probably, maybe dodge to like jump off the stretcher or something to get out of reach of them. Felix, one of them will grab for you. Oops. But Felix, with that judo background, is too fast. Takes some sort of combat stance, and Big Ed will draw his bat and swing at Sarah. But he misses as well. All right. Felix, you're next.
I'm gonna try and trip up and leg sweep the big guy going for Sarah.
Okay. Make an unarmed combat roll.
Sweet. 50-50.
Yeah.
14. Sweet.
All right.
So under
you take-
half.
I assume there is a rule somewhere for like a takedown as an attack, but I'm just going to say that it works, and you sweep his feet out. He falls to the ground. He looks at you with just absolute rage and murderous intent.
Sweet.
After that happens,
Good. She's free to go. That's what I wanted.
Sarah, you're up next. What will you do?
So the guy who grabbed me is down.
Yes. Down in the sense of on the floor, not down in the sense of unconscious or anything.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any footwear on? Are we barefoot? Is it just like hospital slippers with like those kind of like those sticky
Yeah.
treads?
I think you have hospital slippers on.
That's not ideal. All right. I am going to just start stomping on his groin as hard as I can.
So I think that you can make an unarmed attack at plus 40 because obviously you have a significant advantage. So roll as if your unarmed combat was 40 higher than it is.
That is 52, so that's a success.
All right. Does anyone know off the top of their head how much damage an unarmed attack does? I suspect it's 1d4.
D4 plus strength bonus.
Okay. Well, there's no strength bonus, is there, in Delta Grain?
Yeah, I think so. But 9 doesn't give a bonus.
Yeah. All right. So just roll 1d4 for damage.
Alrighty. Of course, does 1 damage.
Cool. So yeah, you get a glancing blow at his groin, but he's sort of covering up to an extent. It's not as effective as you'd hoped. Elena, what will you do?
What kind of are these? Are these just like the regular metal stretchers, or are they the hospital beds kind?
I mean, they're not going to have anything that's designed for transporting patients much. So I think they're pretty straight. It's pretty basic, like hospital bed style stretchers.
Okay, so are they heavy or not heavy? That's what I'm asking. Really getting.
You tell me.
Okay, because I'm thinking, the hospital beds you see in hospitals that have all the fancy things that raise the bed and shift it, and they're pretty solid. Not the rickety aluminum ones that ambulances use.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm gonna try to, since I'm off and this big Ed guy is on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to tip it on him.
Okay. With the intention of causing harm or of sort of slowing him down and pinning him?
Kind of pinning him to the ground so that I don't know, maybe somebody else could grab his truncheon.
Yeah, okay. I feel like maybe, well, just thinking about how to adjudicate this, maybe a strength by 5 roll to see if you can topple it in a useful way.
Right. Okay, strength by 5. Yes, I can.
All right. So you knock over the bed onto Ed, who is pinned awkwardly underneath it. It's not going to hold him forever, but it's definitely slowing him down. At the end of the first round, you notice that there's a half dozen more orderlies coming down the hall towards the group of you, as well as the 4 that were already with you. You also notice, well, anyone who's paying attention to the surroundings will also notice that Tim Bale, who you met, who's a patient that you met the first time you visited the Dorchester, is watching this from the far end of the corridor. He's wearing some sort of cheap cardboard crown on his head and just watching, sort of leaning against the wall. The nurses, while this is going on, are just, trying to de-escalate. They're calling for calm. They're telling you all to relax, that sort of thing. At the Top of the round, Tara, it's your turn.
With reinforcements, we're going to lose this fight. So I'm actually going to go for Bale.
I think it'll take your action this round to like close the distance towards him because he's a fair way up the hole. Are you moving towards him like aggressively or just like walking towards him? Like what does it look like?
No, I'm charging him.
Okay. He will look quite surprised to see that that's happening. All right. Felix, sorry, the orderlies will go now. A couple of them will charge after Tara, just like moving to that other end of the hall for whatever happens next. Let's see. There are enough left that two of them will try and restrain Yelena. At least one of them will succeed. Yelena, do you want to dodge or are you going to let yourself be grabbed?
Gonna dodge.
Is that a success?
And hold on. I don't believe so. That is not a success.
All right. So two of them grab you. They have a firm grasp on you. Felix.
So at the minute, Tara and Sarah are both free.
Yeah, Tara's gone running off up the corridor towards Bale. Sarah is somebody's about to try and grab Sarah, but nobody has yet.
Right.
And Yelena is.
So I'll go for the one going for Sarah, and I'll say to Sarah,
two of them.
Get out!
Wait. Sorry, just to be clear, it's not your action yet. There are just two of the orderlies are grabbing at you, and unless you use your action this turn to dodge, they are gonna grab you.
All right, I'll have to dodge then. Well, try to. Blah blah blah. 50. All right, cool.
Yeah, dodge is good.
All right, so you get out of the way, sort of nimbly dodging or ducking back. Two of them are going to try and grab Sarah. That's a success. Sarah, do you want to dodge as your action for this round? Otherwise, you're going to be...
I don't want to, but I kind of have to, don't I?
Well, you can be grabbed or you can dodge.
Oh, God, that's an 84.
That's not a success.
I mean, I don't see... Yeah, dodge is only 32. But I get to mark it so I can roll, so I get a stat increase. So, you know, it's not all bad.
All right. So, all of you, I think, that means that all of you, Felix, Sarah, and Yelena, all used your actions this round to dodge, so you won't take another action. The nurses are still, like, calling for calm. You know, telling you all that you're only going to make things worse. Just let us take you to group therapy. You know, we don't want to, you don't want to see anyone get hurt. Things like that. Tara, what do you do as you close the distance on Tim Bale?
I'm going to yell at him, can you get us out here? And if the answer is no, then I'm going to take an action.
He's going to say, I am the only person who can get you out of here, and I hate your fucking guts.
Okay. I'm going to hit him and take his crown.
All right, make an unarmed combat roll.
Oh.
Is that a critical failure?
It is. Yeah.
Then I'm going to say that you try to grab for his crown, and you're grappled by two of the orderlies who are right behind you.
Makes sense.
Felix, every other member of the group is now. Well, actually, the orderlies get their turn first. So they're going to start dragging the three of you who are grappled towards a doorway that leads off the hall. The Felix, you can see that it looks like the three of the three other agents are about to be taken through a doorway into a room of some kind. You're the only...
Not where Bale is, yes?
Not where Bale is, no.
I'm going to shout something at him if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
I say, I am of that other place. And if you, I have it within me, and if you do not rescue us, there will be retribution.
So he's gonna yell. He's gonna like not exactly looking at you. He turns towards Yelena where she's being dragged, and she says, "If you hadn't killed my guy, I'd help you out. But you shot him in the back of his head. That caused me a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble."
Wow.
The nurses are now also trying to calm Bale down. They'll go to him. He's not being restrained, though. They're not dragging him anywhere. Sorry, Felix. I was just about to ask what you do.
I'm gonna say the 6 words that the radio said. It's like Indio, moon. Yeah, those 6. And just see or hear if anything happens.
Okay, so the orderlies who are standing by you will sort of put their stop coming at you, put their hands up in a sort of placating gesture, and say, "All right, Felix, why don't you come and talk to Dr. Friend about this?"
Okay.
All right, and they'll not grab you, but sort of gesture and lead you towards the door that the others are going through. And so the 4 of you are all sort of dragged or led into a room that you haven't seen before. The walls are a kind of pink bubblegum color. There's a circle of chairs of sort of cracked green lino upholstery. And the lights are flickering. It's distracting, annoying, awful to look at. You recognize some of the people sitting in the chairs, patients that you saw last time you were at the Dorchester. Nobody, well, I think Bale was the only patient you actually spoke to. You don't recognize the person who's obviously the doctor, the person who's wearing a suit with a white coat over it. But she sort of smiles and gestures to some of the empty seats for you to come and sit down. And there's one other person here that you recognize, although she's much older than the last time you saw her. Louise Post from the McAllister building is one of the patients sitting in one of the chairs.
Is she the artist?
I mean, they were all artists. She was the one who had committed to not speaking for a year. And the doctor will say, "All right, everyone's here. Let's start group therapy." And I think on that note, we'll take our first break. It's just about the top of the hour. So we'll come back in 10 minutes if that's okay with everyone.
I went and voted this morning and there was no sausage sizzle. I was bitterly disappointed.
Oh, I'm sorry, Blake. I arranged a postal ballot, so also no sausage for me.
No sausage?
Yeah.
What's this world coming to?
I don't know if people outside Australia know this, but it is a tradition that in Australia you get a sausage sizzle at the polling station when you vote.
I didn't know that.
That is incredible. I wish that were the case here.
They give you food when
they
you
don't
vote.
give it to you. It's like some local, school or charity will set up a sausage sizzle at the polling station. You can make a donation, a gold coin donation for a sausage.
The fuck? Why is every country in the world so much better than us about voting?
I've
I mean,
seen,
I'm a
I've seen
vegetarian,
schools
and
have
that
food.
sounds delicious.
I've seen schools have food booths near polling stations. I remember when I lived in D.C., the local Waldorf school there uh, had, had some local school group that set up and had buns and cookies and things like that.
All right. Well, let's get back to the Dorchester House. So, one of the patients in the room becomes quite agitated as the four of you come in. She is very old. You'd guess, at least in her 80s, maybe even older than that. Terribly frail. So, as she becomes agitated, it's her movements are quite slow and delicate, but she's clearly trying to move towards the four of you as you come in through the door. And she starts to talk or even yell, but it's unclear to you whether she's yelling in an unfamiliar language or if it's just gibberish. But you certainly can't understand what she's saying.
Also, we're here. It's okay. We're here. We're here.
She keeps yelling, and I think then a couple of the nurses will sort of lead her out, and Dr. Friend will say, "Oh, all right, sunshine. Well, everyone, please take your seats, and we'll get started." And the orderlies that are holding you will sort of push the three who are being held into some of the chairs, and then step back towards the door to see how you react. What do you do? I'll ask it individually. Sarah, what do you do as they sort of push you down into a chair and release you?
This may be a long shot, but I'm going to start drawing Bale's sigil on the floor with my toe.
Okay, interesting. So it's quite detailed. So it'll take a moment for anything to.
I mean,
to
it's
come of
not
if
that
anything does.
detailed.
I mean,
I'm
the
looking
sigils
at it
have
right
all-
now.
Really? My recollection is that the sigils are quite detailed. Okay. Well, nothing happens immediately as you do that.
And in my head, at the same time, maybe even under my breath, I'm muttering the invocation.
Okay. I mean, the invocation itself is quite lengthy because it requires you to name all 72 demons. So that's going to take some time.
I thought I only had to name the ones that I was summoning.
No, you mark the sigil of the one that you're summoning, but you have to name all the demons of the Asgersha.
Yeah, otherwise they'll feel left out.
Exactly. Tara, what do you do?
I am so either we've changed realities or this one isn't actually real and we're being I'm going to see if I can see a different reality where we're not here. I don't know if I'm tapping into this thing that's inside me or just engaging in wishful thinking, honestly.
All right, make a resilience check, I think.
I have to check my resilience on that one. Yes, I succeeded.
So there's no resilience loss, but you feel that whatever was in you before, that feeling, that presence, it's not there now.
I don't know whether to feel good or bad about that.
Yelena, what are you doing?
I think
What?
I'm going to sit and cross my arms, and then I am trying to see what could I do. I'm tempted to use my unnatural skill, but it is so low that it's not. I am very likely to fail.
What would you be trying to do?
What the hell? I want to try to fundamentally understand I guess something similar to what Tara was trying to do, trying to discern what is actually going on underneath whatever facade is being shown to us right now.
I'm happy for you to roll unnatural. So unnatural doesn't go up on a failure like the other skills do, but if you want
Right,
to
I
see
figured.
if the very little that you know is going to help you
Just give it a
understand this, you
shot.
can do that.
Feels like one of the only options right now.
Oh, is that a critical failure?
It is.
All right. Well, I think I'm
Hooray.
just going to keep that in my pocket for now. Oh. Actually, I think that on a critical failure, the problem that you have is that you understand exactly what's happening. That this is the Dorchester House at night in the same way the night floors were the McAllister building at night. And the risk that you face now is that the four of you will be trapped here in this reality forever.
I think in which case I am going to mutter under my... Who's sitting beside me? Is any of these folks sitting beside me?
Felix, are you beside Yelena? Yeah, someone is.
Sure.
All right. So I'll mutter under my breath, probably loud enough for Felix to hear, that we're on the night floors again.
So Dr. Friend will speak up now and she'll say, all right, so we'll just start by going over our group agreements. Remember that everything that's said in this group is confidential, that we've all agreed we won't disclose anything that we hear here outside of this room. The exception, of course, is that if anyone does say anything that makes you feel unsafe, you are welcome to disclose that to the staff. If any of you say anything that makes me feel that you are a risk either to yourself or to others, I will be required to report that. But other than with those exceptions, everything said here is confidential. We're here to heal hearts and minds, to get better together. And I really appreciate all of you being here today so we can do that work together. I think that we've been making some good progress with the hypothetical scenarios, so I think that's probably what I'd like to start with today. But does anyone have anything they'd like to say before we get started? And she pauses and looks around.
That lady that was taken out, was that Abigail? Is she coming back in, or?
Sorry, I don't think I know an Abigail.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't quite sure I called her name, but is she coming back in to join us? Or she seemed like she wanted to join in.
She seemed quite agitated to me. I think that the nurses will see how she's feeling, and if she feels well enough to join us again, she's certainly welcome to come back.
All right, and I'll sort of mutter to you, Lena, we kind of wanted to get here anyway.
All right. Well, let's begin our hypotheticals. She sort of casts around. Her eyes fall on Tara. She says, Tara, imagine that you and a person that you care about a great deal are somewhere far away, somewhere isolated. One of the two of you has been shot. They will die, but the death will be slow and quite painful. Help will not arrive in time. No first aid will be sufficient. Would you rather that you had been shot or that the person you cared about was the one who had been shot?
Me.
Do you want to expand on that answer at all?
Only that there are pretty few people in that category. But there are some that that I would rather die than have them die.
Very interesting. Thank you, Tara. She makes some notes on a clipboard. And she turns to Sarah next. She says, Sarah, imagine that you've been invited to a very important social event, a party full of important and powerful people. But the party is in a strange country and you are unfamiliar with the customs and will not know the other guests. Attending could be very beneficial to you personally, but you know that any breach of the rules of etiquette which are unfamiliar to you could have devastating consequences. Do you attend the party?
I'm trying to speed run the invocation at this point because I'm not going to interrupt it to answer this question.
Okay. So
I mean, I don't think I can just press pause on the invocation and answer the question and then pick up.
So
Pretty sure this has to be done in a single attempt.
Okay. So if you don't respond immediately, she'll say, well, all right, if you prefer just to listen for now, that's fine.
And
Yelena,
I will actually nod to that.
all right, very good. Yelena, the same question to you. Do you want me to repeat it?
I think I will. I'm going to respond. Yelena will respond back in Russian. And probably just like, yeah, Yelena's not having none of this. I'm probably just going to, yeah, it's just gonna quote something from like Marx's Das Kapital, which I don't have a quote right off the top of my head, but
Sure.
that's what she's gonna do.
Very interesting. She makes a note in her notebook. Why do you say that?
And I think Helena will just respond with, because capital is not necessarily the root of all evil, but something here is.
What do you think is here?
I'm just going to stop speaking and go back to sulking.
All right. Then she talks to Felix, and Sarah, I'll let you make an occult roll after we resolve this question with Felix. Felix, then. Imagine that the world is about to end. It is divided between people who know it will end but can do nothing about it, and those who don't know and will continue in blissful ignorance until it is too late. Would you rather know or not know?
I would rather know.
How long do you think it will be until the end of the world?
I think when the world fully understands itself, it won't need to be anymore.
Very interesting. Thank you. Sarah, why don't you go ahead? So you complete the invocation. Why don't you go ahead and make an occult roll?
Alrighty. 41 under 90.
That's a success.
Usually is.
Yes. Sorry, you actually just told me that. I was joining it. All
That's
right.
okay. I'm just goofing.
No, that's good. So Dr. Friend will turn back towards you as you complete the invocation and say, Sarah, would you be willing to answer a question for me now?
Is Bale showing up by any chance?
I mean, not in the moment after you finish the invocation. You feel that something has happened, or something is happening, about to happen.
So I'll look at her and say, I'll try.
Have you found your bottle?
I'm going to lie, like a liar,
Mm-hmm.
and say, what bottle?
So as you talk, you notice that the room around you is shifting away from being a sort of garishly decorated hospital room towards being a sort of huge European royal court of about the 19th century. It looks new. It doesn't look like something from the 19th century that continues to exist, but as if you were there in the 19th century in its heyday. There's a throne, a red carpet, there are lanterns. Dr. Friend is wearing the sumptuous clothing of a noble and sits on a golden chair near the throne, but it's Felix who's on the throne itself. And Dr. Friend says, have you received an invitation, Sarah?
An invitation to what?
Do you want to make a human roll?
Sure. I would love to make a human roll. That is 49 under 62.
You sense like a real frustration from Dr. Friend just beneath the surface of her friendly bedside manner or sort of professional demeanor. She seems really annoyed that you're pretending not to know about these things. She says, all right, Sarah, when did you first encounter the King in Yellow?
I'm just going to look at her. I'm going to look at her like I'm a golden retriever and say, who's the King in Yellow? What is the King in Yellow?
She tuts, and the whatever the effect was, the illusion or the transformation breaks, and the room is a hospital room again. And she says, Sarah, I feel like recently we've been making really good progress, and today I don't know. I feel very discouraged. I don't think that you're being forthcoming with me. I think that we may have to perform the procedure again. And any of you who are sort of like paying attention to what's happening around you will notice that Ed, the large orderly with the bat, is the only orderly who stayed in the room for all this. He's leaning against the wall by the door, and he just cracks the tiniest hint of a grin at the mention of the procedure. Sarah, do you say anything?
I'm going to look at her and say, listen, I really want to help you. I do. You're asking hypotheticals of everybody, but you're treating these questions like they're real to me. Everybody else is getting hypotheticals. Why am I not getting a hypothetical question?
Are hypotheticals important to you, Sarah?
I'm just asking why I'm being treated differently.
Do you feel like you've often been singled out for special treatment, Sarah?
I don't feel like this treatment is particularly special per se. It's certainly It's certainly not special in the sense that most people would think of special. It's not like it's preferential treatment, I don't think. It's certainly different, though.
All right. Dr. Fred looks at her watch and she says, all right, I think it's probably best that we finish up now. I'm sorry to those of you I didn't get to speak to today, but there'll be plenty more opportunities for group therapy in future. And she'll get up and make to leave. Unless any of you stop or ask her or say anything, her and the orderly will both leave, and you'll be left in the room with the other patients.
Okay, I'll speak up before she leaves. And I'm just going to ask, what was Michael's last name again?
Whitwer.
Something. Whitwer, right.
Mhm.
Like, where is Michael Whitwer and his companions?
Sorry, I don't know a Michael Whitwer. You're welcome to human check that if you want.
Mm-hmm. Shall do. And fail.
Critically fail, but I guess it doesn't really.
Right.
There's no real critical failure on a human check, I think, generally. Yeah, it's unclear to you whether she's being honest or not.
And I'll sort of like speak under my breath and not speak under my breath, actually speak out loud and be like, and I thought we were finally done with all the games.
She'll just leave it that. The other patients will start to filter out as well. One of them, middle-aged-ish man, is going to stop to talk to Tara and say, you look like you know how to handle yourself. Oh, you're muted, Brandon.
I say well enough.
The four of you, and he picks out the four of you. Do you know, you strike me as being part of the program. Would I be right?
Yes.
How did you end up here?
That is unclear.
He does not seem at all surprised by that.
We came here for one purpose, but we ended up being here in a different way, unexpectedly.
You all take care. Bale's put the word out. He is mad at the four of you for some reason.
He has good reason. What's your name?
Leland Fuller. He'll put his hand out for you to shake.
You're with the program, Leland?
Well, I was.
Why aren't you anymore?
Well, I died in 1982.
Oh. But somehow you're here.
What is it? Still, I mean, it's been a long time since I stepped outside. What year is it for you?
I understand. 2015.
Huh. Yeah. Well, I don't suppose I'm ever getting out of here.
There must be a weak point. There was a way in, there has to be a way out.
I mean, if anyone knows how to get into here, how to get out, I'd say it's Louise Post. She has a lot of sway around here. And he describes, the middle-aged woman. She was quiet. She was sitting over there.
All right. She's not with the program, I take it.
I don't think so.
Yeah. If you could get out, would you want to?
What do you think happens to a dead person if they get out of here?
I think they go on to wherever it is they ought to have gone. Instead of limbo, which is a reasonable description of here.
I think wherever I go, it's still going to be happening to me. You know what I mean?
It's possible. I guess I don't know.
I thought that I could, ignore it, the play and all that. That's what got me here.
I know too much of you get involved too much with the play, and it's very hard to get loose.
No, that's not what I mean.
Oh,
For me, it was not enough of the play. I think the only way to get free of it is to go all the way through. And I tried to back away. That's how I got stuck here. And he shrugs his shoulders. I mean, I could be wrong.
thanks.
He wanders off, probably back to his room. And the four of you are left alone for the first time since you got back here.
I share the conversation with everybody else. What happened, Sarah?
What happened
Yes.
with respect to?
You phased out there for a moment.
Oh, I wasn't phased out.
No,
I
no,
was-
you were like staring into space, and I don't know what you were doing. That's why I'm asking.
Invocation.
Did it work?
A little too soon to tell, but there are going to have to be apologies made and probably some sacrifices.
Louise might know something. That was the middle-aged woman that was here.
Isn't she the same woman from the McAllister?
The one that wouldn't talk, yeah.
Is she talking
Yeah.
now?
Remains to be seen. But she communicated with me before, even though she didn't talk.
Mark, can you mute? Yeah, I think we're hearing a voice in the background. Thanks.
So I think it'd be worthwhile talking to her.
There's no reason we cannot operate on multiple tracks.
Yeah.
Squaring things up with with one of the princes of hell is probably only beneficial to us in the long run. Trying to make some amends for that. And if it turns out to be the case that Louise can help, then hey, we've got multiple options. But I know that some of you are uncomfortable with the demonology aspect of this, so just
I'm more concerned
least-
with what. Sorry.
until I know more, just don't worry about that part of it. I got that handled.
Well, hold on a sec. So Vale yelled at us that we killed his man, which I'm assuming he's talking about Exeter.
Yes.
It may be the case that
But-
we've killed him in this reality, that he may be alive in ours, but
Sure, but at this point, that's not what I'm caught on. If Exeter believes he was receiving orders from Delta Green, but we know that he wasn't, and Exeter was working for Vale, but didn't know he was doing that, therefore, wouldn't it make sense that we had actually originally been recruited by Vale?
that's a whole lot of thinking that honestly I'm just not feeling really prepared to do at this moment, because I right now I just want out of wherever this space is. I don't like these liminal spaces or these realities that aren't the one that I know and am familiar with.
Well,
But we are familiar with it. This seems just like the night floors.
Yeah, that's not a bonus, Felix. That's not a selling point here.
I mean, listen. Every time we've tried to avoid coming here or anywhere other than our own reality, it's just got us into a pile of mess. And now we're here anyway.
I don't think this is the night floors.
Well, it's night floors adjacent. I don't care what it is. It's
Well, no,
somewhere
but
that's not.
there's an important difference.
We don't see endless hallways.
No, it didn't. Then when we were in the night floors, it didn't change us. The place itself was protean and changeable, and many different things, and hard to put together. But
You're saying the otherworldly infection is stronger here.
yes, I think. Yeah, I think this is different because when we came in here, our situation changed. We were suddenly patients.
Yeah, it went from we were coming in the door to bang, we were all in and
We were
changed
patients.
clothes
We were patients. You two were healed. Everything was different. Not just we had stepped into a strange location. And I'm very concerned with what he said about that the only way out of Carcosa is to go through.
Well, that's his opinion. He may or may not be right.
I don't disagree with you. But
it does feel like there's creatures, people, whatever, trying to help us, like get us to some understanding or evolution or something that is to do with what we see as an infection, but we also seem to bump into people that have been affected by all of this and not successful in that transition.
Yes. I'm going to see if I can talk to Louise or learn something from Louise if she's not talking.
All right. So I understand that Sarah is going to go try and talk to Bale. Tara is going to go and try and talk to Louise. Elena, are you joining either of them, or is there something else that you'd like to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sarah because I don't trust this demon dick.
Fair. Felix, what about you?
I'm going to look for, what do they call her, Sunshine, the older lady that was taken away.
Okay.
See if I can see her anywhere.
All right. Let's see. Let's start with Sarah and Elena going to talk to Bale. So you find that it's like that you have a lot of freedom now, that nobody is trying to corral you or direct where you can go. There's no obvious way out of here that you can see. The windows are covered in grates and bars and things like that. You don't see anything that appears to be an external door, but nobody's trying to stop you or prevent you from going anywhere. In fact, if you ask, people will direct you where you want to go to find Bale. You'll find him in his room. He's squatting on a stack of waterlogged books, wearing his crown still. And sitting on the floor beside him is a sort of old-fashioned rotary telephone. And as you come in, he's sort of barking into it. Tell Ambrose to send the phone now. No, he's got loads of them. And then he hangs up and he says, oh, well, look who's turned up here.
I apologize for disturbing you.
You're not disturbing me.
My wife here would like to make whatever amends can be made.
Your wife talk for herself?
I can.
How are you going to make amends? What does that mean?
You tell me.
And,
I'll nudge Yelena and say, please, this is one of the great kings of hell. Some humility is in order.
I'll sort of I'll look at Sarah and be like, you do understand the history of monarchs in Russia, right?
Russia
when-
may seem like hell to you, but it's a bit different.
Belle will like jerk a thumb in Sarah's direction and say to you, Yelena, she's fucking crazy. You know that, right?
Sorry, she's saying that to me or saying that to Sarah?
To you.
Oh,
Great
Oh.
kings of hell. What? Good thing you're in a mental hospital because that is crazy talk.
I look fondly at Sarah and be like, it's one of her charms. Be like, listen, if Exeter or whatever his name is was your guy, you have every right to be pissed off that I shot him.
Well, thank you.
So now what?
So he opens his mouth to speak, and then the phone beside him rings, and he picks up the handset. Somebody at the other end says something, and he says, "The first one is it's drawn in the apartment. That's what opens the way. All right." I'm talking to some people, and he hangs up again, and he says, "Look, I had to make a bargain with someone that I really don't like to bargain with to bring back my guy. That's there's no way that you're going to make amends for that. What's going to happen is I'm the only person that could get you out of here, and I'm not going to. You're going to be here forever, like the rest of them."
I'll be like, if Exeter was your guy, then ultimately you're the one who recruited us to look into whatever these disappearances were, right?
Oh, you're as crazy as your wife is. How could I recruit you to anything? What would I recruit you to? Who's Exeter? His name was Barbas.
Barbas, whatever, same guy. People have different names.
That's true.
Like, whatever. Smelly, motor oil, weird book press, right? Same guy.
I got no idea about any of that. I think we might pause this here, and I'll catch up with some of the others. Felix, you find your way to the room where the much older woman is lying in a bed. She looks calmer now. In fact, maybe she's even sort of gently resting as you come in. She sort of starts to wake up. She looks at you.
I'll say, hey, how you doing? I wanted to talk. You okay? You doing okay?
She replies again, either in a language you don't understand or just in gibberish. Do you want to make a human check?
Oh, this won't go well. Come on. Failed.
She seems still upset or unhappy in some way.
All right, I'll just say, I just come to talk. I'm not going to hurt you. I just wanted to talk. Make sure you're okay. You okay? Yeah. Bugger. I did have a quick look around. She hasn't like put a mark on the wall or have any books or anything interesting. That's odd, or
there is a small shelf of books. They're all just sort of like regular titles from the real world. You know, like the kinds of books that you might expect to see on the shelf of an older woman.
Oh, okay.
some romances, some classics, things like that. They're all large print editions.
Okay.
Make an input up by 5 roll.
And so 80. Oh, sweet. Much better chance.
So you've definitely met this person before somewhere. You can't quite figure out where, but there's something about her that's extremely familiar.
Great.
She will keep trying to talk to you, but in this way that you can't make any sense of. Is there anything else that you want to do while you're here?
There's not much I can do if we can't really talk. No, there's not much I can do. We're a bit stuck.
Okay. So Tara, you go to see Louise Post. She's in her room, sitting by a window, again heavily barred. She smiles and nods and says, I always hoped we'd get to talk aloud after the last time.
Yes, I very much appreciated what you communicated to me, even though you weren't allowed to talk. That made a big difference.
I mean, I suppose I should be mad. It was the 4 of you, right, that had me committed here in the first place. It's okay. I don't hold a grudge. You don't have to explain. I would have done it too.
If there was a way that you could have gone on to find what you were finding and not leave a great open wound between one reality and another, well, we would have done that. But it was kind of out of our hands. It was, and I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I have a pretty good life here. I came into a lot of money. I wield a lot of influence around here.
So I hear. Haven't you ever desired to leave?
Yeah, I do what we all do. I follow the script.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, what else is there? Do you believe in God, Tara?
Yes.
For a long time, people thought about God in an anthropomorphic way, like a man in the sky.
Sure.
But really, God is not like a person at all. God is a play, a script. It calls to some of us, to families, to people, places even, drawing us all together in a kingdom called Carcosa. And those that are called in this way are like flies in a web who are slowly drawn in. That you're here at all indicates to me that the play has touched you too. And all such touched souls struggle to find their way to Carcosa and to judgment. But we all find that path in our own way and in our own fashion and according to what is planned for us.
Before, you wanted to find it more quickly, as I recall.
Well, I was naive then. I didn't understand. We've certainly been touched by Carcosa, and we've certainly felt its pull. But I'm less persuaded that it is God calling us. I think
may just be another place very, very different from ours that is trying to dominate ours, trying to replace our reality with its own. And I'm not sure that that's the best thing.
I don't know if it's the best thing, but it's what's happening.
It is what's happening as long as we follow the script.
You're not an English major, are you, Tara? You know.
No, I was I was a soccer jock in school. Actually, I had decent grades.
Listen, some people would say that the important thing about a play is not what's in the script, but how the performers interpret it, how it's produced, the subtext, the implications, the different ways that it can be interpreted.
Yes, which means that maybe we should be looking at different ways to interpret it, and that sort of coasting along on a literal reading of what it says might not give the most desired effect. If you don't want to leave here, Louise, that's absolutely your decision. But if we do you know a way out?
I could help you get out.
I think we need to get out. I think we need to put on this play in our own way and find our own path.
If I was to do this for you, would you do a favor for me when you go back to the other world?
Yes, if it doesn't contravene anything I've promised.
What have you promised?
I've promised some things to my own family and to the people I'm with. Not a great deal otherwise. What's the favor?
Well, I'm not sure yet what the favor will be. I engage a law firm in the outside world. They will contact you and they will tell you the service that I require.
I will do it as long as it doesn't put anyone I love in peril.
No more peril than they already face.
Oh, believe me, I have an idea as to how much that is. So yes, I'll do you a favor.
All right. You can expect a call from my attorneys. Do you want to go now, or do you want to speak to your friends before?
Soon.
All right. Well,
So you should roll the ball directly, and I'll go talk with them.
it's straightforward. When you're ready to leave, tell Baal that this is the service that he owes to me, and that regardless of his feelings, he will escort the four of you to the exit.
Understood. And Louise, I wanted to say that I admired your dedication before to your art project. I didn't really understand it at the time, but I was pretty impressed nevertheless.
Well, maybe one day you'll understand. All right. And after that conversation, I mean, you know that Sarah and Yelena went to see Baal anyway. Do you want to head towards them?
I'm going to pop in on them.
All right. And Felix, after speaking to Sunshine, what will you do?
Just try and catch up with the others.
All right. So I think the four of you meet up at this point. So the conversation with Baal has broken off, or had just paused where we left it. And right around that time, Tara and Felix both arrive. And Baal, just before Tara comes in, says to Yelena, absolutely nothing that you can do, nothing you can say, nothing in this world could make me help you. You will be here forever.
Louise says this is the favor she demands of you. that you get us out of here.
Bale will look absolutely infuriated at that. The favor is what exactly? Did I take you to the exit?
You get us safely out of this place. Don't try to twist this. You know what you owe.
Oh, I know. I cannot guarantee that the exit will be safe. I can take
Well,
you.
you can do what you can, can't you?
Well, I suppose I'm going to have to. But yes, I will take you to the exit. And I will do what I can to shelter you.
Remember, I came to you in supplication and humility.
To that, he will reply to Tara and say, "Your friend seems to think I'm some kind of demon. She probably should get some therapy."
Not a demon, a king of hell.
I'll make this suggestion.
All right. We're about at the top of the hour, so let's take a break here and we'll come back in 5, if that's okay.
I'm back, Shane. Shane, just to reiterate it, I'm back. I don't know if you heard me.
Okay, thanks. I had a little trouble with my deeply broken headset that I never remember to replace.
You know, I gotta say, hang on a second, let me pull this off real quick. I use the Astro A10. It's the one that I've been using pretty much since I started with Open Hearth, Gauntlet, etc. They're comparatively inexpensive for a headset. They're wired. You know, they don't have any, you don't need to replace batteries or anything like that. They just plug directly into, God, what is it? The 16th inch jack? Or the 3/16 jack? Something like that.
Mine is pretty good. It's just that I snapped the part that goes over your head at some point, so I'm just going to take it off to show you.
Oh, that's what happened to my old headset too.
So it's sort of taped together, but a bit precariously.
Duct tape.
Yeah, it's duct taped together. The duct tape is just like shifted over time, and it's not quite as intact as it used to be.
You know what the solution to that is?
What's that?
More duct tape.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe the solution is to buy another headset. Actually,
well, you're not wrong, but in the short term, the solution is more duct tape.
Mm-hmm. The problem is that the only time that I remember that it needs to be duct taped together is while I'm using it. As soon as I take it off, that knowledge is gone. But anyway, Bale is going to lead the 4 of you sort of through the corridors, down some stairs, down some more stairs, down some more stairs. The further you go, the less it looks like a hospital around you, and the more it starts to look like, well, really a theatre. From, sterile lino floors to rich burgundy rugs. There are recessed lights behind scalloped glass. There's gold-painted trim, plaster Greek masks, things like that. You'll notice that there is some sort of aura or light around Bale as he goes. And after a while, is there anything that you want to say or ask him as he goes? He's just going to be quite quick about it. He wants to get this over with as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk to him at all?
I mean, I see no reason not to further cement the idea that I'm crazy.
Yeah, I think he's just going to sort of hush you as much as he can.
I
Eventually,
still want to know how to change shape. That's something that could be really, really useful if I could turn myself into a cat at will.
Yeah, we're getting close now. You should be quiet. And you do hear from nearby. There's a sound of a gong and an audience applauding, and he leads you into what is actually a theatre. The stage is empty but quite brightly lit. The audience is mostly full, and he'll lead you to some seats that are empty, just near the entrance. So you're towards the back of the theatre.
I'll say, this is like Cats, and you're Mr. Mistopheles. I'm pointing at Bale.
He just glares at you. He's very unhappy. Felix, you notice that the person in the seat beside you is your aunt, the dead one.
Yeah, I knew the one.
Yeah.
My character is very surprised. My player is not. Shit.
She doesn't seem to notice you.
I'll tap her on the hand and say, it's a good show.
She turns towards you and then just fades away.
Fuck. That's not the reaction I wanted.
Bale will sort of whisper to all of you, we have to wait till the show finishes. Stay close to me when I move. And an orchestra starts. You can't see where the orchestra is. It's playing a sad, slow sort of a dirge, and a figure emerges onto the stage. It's a sort of child-sized figure wearing a velvet tuxedo and a paper mache mask, exactly as I think it was Sarah once saw in the park 20 odd years ago. And he starts to dance, or she starts to dance. It starts to dance. You'll remember Sarah from long ago, the strange sort of hand gestures that the figure was making as it danced. But now those hand gestures, identical, make sense, because you see that there's a sort of network of pipes in the ceiling, and small vials of some sort of red liquid are dropping from the pipes, and the hand gestures just catch the vials as they fall, and then empty them into a larger canister that's sitting on the stage. When I say larger, it's not that large. It's maybe, I don't know, half a foot in length, an inch or so around. And so it continues to perform this slow dance, emptying these vials of red fluid into the larger canister. The canister that it's emptying them into is made of glass, and so you can see the liquid inside, and you can see that the liquid sort of drains and fills the canister, almost like breathing in and out as more is poured in. At the end of eventually the canister is almost full, or at least almost full as its level rises. The figure finishes its dance with a flourish by placing a stopper in the top of the canister, and then lies down on the stage and becomes inert. And the audience applauds wildly. And Baal says, all right, it's our time to go. Don't make any sudden movements, but follow me. And leads you up onto the stage. Or at least Baal heads up onto the stage, whether you want to follow or not. Brandon, you're muted.
Following.
Is anyone not going to follow him?
I'll glance back at where my auntie was sitting and then follow.
Yeah, Felix, this is not a good space to be left behind.
So on the stage, you see that the tuxedo is lying empty on the stage, where the figure sort of lay down. There's no longer a figure inside it. Bale picks up the canister, unscrews the top, and he says, they call this partsu. The partsu is the way out. And he sort of watches the container, watches as the fluid falls and then rises again, and then drinks from it as it's at its fullest. As he does that, he passes the canister to whoever's nearest to him. Let's say that's Felix. And then vanishes. There's an effect, like a cheap digital effect, as he disappears before your eyes. Felix, you're holding this canister. The liquid is rising and falling in front of you. Make an alertness check.
Okay. I think as it's rising, I'm going to drink it. So once it's actually touched my lips, it's full, sort of thing.
Okay.
3.
All right. So you drink and you notice that the tuxedo is no longer empty. The figure is filling the tuxedo again, like filled it, and is standing up and starting to come towards you. You can feel that you, Felix, are about to vanish. What do you do with the container?
I hand it to the next person.
Who do you hand it to?
Tara, I guess, would be next to me.
Tara, the figure is moving, is rushing towards you. What do you do?
Drink at the top of the pulse as quickly as I can.
Make an alertness check.
Yes.
The front of the stage, which should open out onto where you were sitting in the audience, is just a solid wall now. The only way off this stage, other than the Patsu, is through the wings of the theatre itself. You're going to have to run because you've seen from Felix and Bale that it takes a few moments for the effect. So either you're going to fight or you're going to
shove the canister into Sarah's hands, and I run.
All right, Sarah, the figure, the tuxedoed figure, stops, turns. It was running towards Tara. Now it's running at you. It's going to be at least a few moments before the fluid drains and fills again for you to be able to drink it. What do you do?
I swear and say, I thought I was done playing Duck, Duck, Goose fucking 40 years ago. And I'll grab Yelena's hand and basically say, we got to dodge this guy.
Let's go.
When you say dodge, are you going to run or are you going to try and dodge around it? What's happening?
Definitely running. Definitely trying to avoid getting touched by this guy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So running off into the wings. Tara, you fade away. The others don't really see you go. Let's see. Yelena or Sarah, whoever has the better athletics, make an athletics check.
It's probably...
I've got a 50.
And I have 30.
All right. Oh, yes. Okay.
All right. So this is an opposed roll against the clown trying to grab... Sorry, not the clown. The tuxedoed figure trying to grab you.
38 is what I rolled.
So I just got to check what its unarmed combat roll is. Sorry. It's funny that we had 8 sessions without any combat, and now we're 2 sessions in a row of fighting. All right. So a 60. So the way that opposed rolls work is that the higher roll that's under the relevant skill will succeed. So the child is going to hit with a 60, and that's higher than your roll. So it manages to get a hand on you before it catches you as you run. As it lays its hand on you, you're going to take 6 points of resilience loss, Yelena.
Oh, God.
Ordinarily, that would be enough to overwhelm you, but not here.
Okay. I am, however, only 2 points away from my breaking point. So.
Sarah, the canister is refilled now. What do you do?
I put it up to Yelena's lips and pour some in her mouth.
Elena, are you going to let that happen?
I think like I'll be surprised about it. I think I'm too surprised to actually like stop it. But as I as like I take it, I feel like, don't you fucking die on me.
All right. So you get a mouthful. Sarah, you notice that the tuxedoed figure is continuing to grow as it chases and attacks you. Before it was the size of a child. Now it's already maybe slightly bigger than you'd expect for an adult. Actually, make an alertness check, Sarah.
That is 29, and I believe that's under my alertness. Yeah, my alertness is 33.
Handy. Okay. So as Yelena fades away, I assume that you're like continuing to run and dodge
Yes,
and things
and
like that.
I'm evading this thing.
Yeah.
And as I see it growing, I'm trying to look for a place that might be too small for it to get into quickly.
So with the alertness success, what you notice as you run away from it is that this part of the backstage area, there's a whole bunch of painted stage backdrops piled up against the wall. And some seem to be backdrops that represent your home, the home that you share with Yelena, like a stage for your bedroom, a stage for your lounge room, things like that. Make either a dodge or athletics roll.
Which is better? Dodge is 32, athletics is 30. So, yeah, I'll make a dodge roll.
All right. So again, this will be
Actually, I'm going to make it an athletics roll because I've already checked dodge.
All
right. I'm
right.
going to fail it.
It's going to be an opposed roll against the clown, or the tuxedoed figure.
Oh, I completely missed. It's a 71.
All right. Well, let's see how this thing does. Oh, it also fails. On double failure, there is a rule for this. Let's have a look. Opposed roll. A lower failed roll beats a higher failed roll. So your failure was lower by 1 than than its failure. So you will succeed.
You failed better.
I'm failing forward.
Get a little bit further away from the thing, and be able to drink the fluid if you want. Do you take a drink?
Can I set this stuff on fire real quick before I do?
I mean, you're not going to be able to drink it once it's on fire. I mean,
No,
I think
no.
also.
I mean, like the stage stuff, like the painted backdrops.
Using what? Because you're still in your hospital pajamas.
That's true, and I don't have anything. All right, yeah, I'm just going to drink this thing and get the hell out of here, and hope that it leads me at least someplace where I want to be, someplace where I don't want to be less than this place.
Okay, so you get a good mouthful. You continue to dodge and evade this thing, and you realize as you do that, you can feel yourself about to fade. Like there's a physical sensation to it, and just for a moment before you do that, you've run into an area that no longer looks like the backstage of a theater. It's a bedroom at night. There's a couple lying in bed, and the woman sits up in bed and screams. And as she screams, you recognize that it's your mother, as you remember her when you were a child. And she says, "He's coming for my baby. Stop him." And that's when you vanish and wake up with the other agents, all 4 of you. You're in what seems to be an empty house. You feel very much like you're just waking from a sleep. Felix and Yelena, your wounds are not. Your wounds exist again, so you're not bleeding out. They've scarred over, but the time that you were in the Dorchester at night, you felt as if you hadn't been shot, and now it's clear to you. It's not critical. You're not dying, but you feel like you're recovering from gunshot wounds.
Winning.
Tara, you have the very strong feeling again of this sort of tingling inside your body. If anything, it's getting stronger. You're muted.
I go oof, and I wrap my arms around my midsection.
And what do the four of you do?
Tara, are you okay?
Yeah, the connection is back. Carcosa. I guess it never went away.
I have a suggestion, but you're not going to like hearing this. Are you like pregnant?
Felix, as you say that, you notice that there is like a bulge in Tara's midsection, but having entertained the idea for like half a second, you realize that it's clearly not a pregnancy, and the bulge sort of opens, and the golden child starts to climb out of Tara's body. This is not causing you physical harm, but it's quite an unpleasant sensation. As its head emerges from your body, it gasps for air like someone that's been underwater and is just able to breathe again for the first time. And it sort of drags itself out of you and stands sort of panting in the middle of the room.
I'll say, were you hiding while we were in that place?
It's still catching its breath. It won't say anything in response, but it will reach inside its jacket and pull out an envelope and hand it to Tara.
I'm gonna get down, crouch down, so I'm kind of face to face with it, and I'm going to say, I still don't understand who you are, but for getting us out of that other place, I'm thankful.
And you take the envelope?
I do.
It vanishes as you do.
Okay. Is it an invitation? I have a feeling it's going to be an invitation.
There's a note inside the envelope.
Okay.
And it reads to Tara, Sarah, Yelena, and Felix. It says, "I'm sorry this had to happen. I'm sorry this had to be you, but it is you. Find the Hotel Broadelbin. Find the Whisper Labyrinth. Find the Author's Bottle. Find, find, find. The city, the lake, its shadow. The revolution, the masquerade, the dance. I am waiting here for you. Nothing is true, except the only way out is through. Love, Abigail." I will post the text into the chat. There's no page, no, what do you call it, lineation, but the text is there.
Did Tara read that out loud, or?
Yes.
Okay. I think, Yelena will. I think after everybody woke up, Yelena had actually pulled Sarah into a hug and is probably still there, unless Sarah has pushed her off by now. But I'll probably think she'll say. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, finish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, listen, I don't think we can't put it off any longer. We have to go back. There's no other way.
Are we still in the hospital stuff or our normal stuff again?
You are back in your regular clothes and you have your whatever belongings you were carrying.
Also, I wonder how long we've been gone since these gunshot wounds are scarred over already.
Check your cell phone.
Yeah, your cell phone will tell you that it's fairly early in the morning, like the sun's come up, but it's whatever time that is, the next day.
Well, I think I'm done being surprised.
The author's bottle. I get it.
So whoever penned the play to begin with.
We know their name. And we have someone to work towards, at least. No.
So there is some good news. You each, on returning to the regular world, will recover 2d6 resilience and 2d6 hit points if you've suffered any hit point loss. So just towards your max, you can't obviously exceed your maximum. You're also all welcome to make an alertness roll if you'd like to look around.
It's close. Let's see. No, I missed by 1.
20 under 33.
So the place that you're in, the room that you're in, the empty house, the house is largely empty, but there's a large rug on the floor of the room that you've arrived in. But you can see that there's some sort of mark that's largely covered by the rug that sort of pokes out at the edge.
All right, I'll move that rug out of the way, figuring that I'm going to see some sort of demon summoning sigil.
You are definitely going to see a demon summoning sigil. You're welcome to make an occult roll to see if you recognize this particular sigil.
That's 80 under 90.
So it's the sigil of Malphus. Malphus is described as the great prince of hell governing 40 legions of demons. Malphus builds houses, high towers, and strongholds. He can destroy enemies' thoughts and desires, give good familiars, and quickly bring artificers together from all places of the world.
I still don't know what
Bro.
the demons have to do with any of this.
I remember reading one time that demons exist outside of reality. Maybe that's what they have to do with this, is that they are the only things not affected by these changes. So maybe that, I don't know if that interests them or if that they're simply more accessible than a lot of other things. Or if that notion's entirely wrong. But at least we know something to find. And I think we have an ally at the other end.
But probably not Bale, right? I mean, is it just me, or was that guy just like a real dick?
He was a dick, total.
Like, we even said
That's
sorry.
the dick.
We apologized.
Well, I technically didn't.
That's right. You talked about Russia and kings and how, Russians really don't have much use for kings anymore.
No, not everyone is the epitome of good manners, sir.
I'll be like, Americans don't really like kings that much either.
Look, I'm not disputing that, but when you're talking to a demon, a little bit of formality goes a long way.
I think Felix will feel like he kind of lost his auntie again, so he's just kind of standing crying quietly.
Felix, I'm sorry.
She was right there. I nearly touched her hand, and she's
Well,
gone.
That was an echo, I think, Felix. Like a photograph. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
and wherever she passed on to, she's there. And this
Why did she get touched by this? I thought it was just us. I don't want family and friends dragged into this.
they are unfortunately dragged in. That much is clear. If our Boston is even now being invaded by Carcosa, and if Carcosa comes through much more, their whole world will be changed. Everything will be changed.
So,
and not for the better either.
The therapy questions, you think they were getting us to realize the scope of what's going to happen?
I don't know what they were doing exactly, except that I think what they were following. I think Louise said it. I think they were following the script as they understood it. That they were acting out their roles in what they felt was an inevitable, to the degree that they had any thought about it at all, what they felt was an inevitable progress towards Carcosa.
But if we have a chance to interpret the play in a way that prevents harm to our friends and families, then I want us to do that.
Yes. We have to do the play, I think. And then we will find the city and the masquerade and the dance. And there, with Abigail's help, we can act and change things. And send Carcosa back whence it came. I don't know. But until we're there, she said the only way forward is back.
It certainly seems that way.
The only way to go is to go forward. Yeah. Is that if we do not go forward our own way, then we are going to be towed, unwilling, dragged forward in a way that we don't want, in a way that we almost got trapped into just now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't like most of it, but I think you're right. We got to look after, keep an eye out for each other.
Yeah. Well, we have one more friend than we had before, I think. And we have...
I hope you're right.
Well, it feels right. And it makes sense that Abigail would help us. Abigail found her way through. And if she wanted to doom us, she just need do nothing.
Yeah.
So she may want us there in order to rescue her. I don't know. But whatever her reasons, whether it's personal or whether she has a higher purpose, it only makes sense that the letter is true.
This might get more difficult. It might be harder than pulling me out of a locker.
Yeah.
Speaking of, the two of you should call your families
No, that's a good point. It's a little early in the morning, but I'll call them in a few hours.
Maybe it's a little bit early, but maybe this makes sense as a point for us to end this week. It feels like a kind of good stopping point. Or is there things that you'd like to try or start planning for next time?
Can
This
I
seems
get a
like
flak vest from somewhere?
You can make a criminology roll to see if you know how to get a flak vest, I think.
You can't buy them legally? Damn it.
I don't know.
Let's have a go.
Or you could ask me, because I do have the criminology.
Yeah, I got no idea. So, I don't want to get shot again. Can we get some sort of vest or something? I'm laughing. My character is not.
Yeah, I'll make some calls, because if this sort of thing is going to happen, yeah, we need some Kevlar, and we probably need some stronger firearms.
I don't know. It's just me.
That and a doctor
I
we
don't
can
expect
talk.
other. I don't expect otherworldly entities to be using firearms that frequently.
No, but at the very least, we need a more reliable doctor than this guy. We need to not go back to the Dorchester if anybody gets shot again.
well, we may be where we're going. There may not be any hospitals like that.
That's a 46 under 70 for my criminology roll.
Honestly,
Yeah. So you definitely know like a way to get off the books weaponry and Kevlar and things like that. It's still going to cost some money, obviously, but you could arrange that.
Sarah, we almost need protection more than anything, I think. And I don't mean against bullets.
Look, you think I'm just going to like take some off-the-shelf Kevlar vests and like run around in another dimension, another reality? No. This is why I've been reading all these goddamn books for the last 20 years. Like, you've all done your own things. I kind of stayed on the job, and, well, you know, Yelena and I, you've seen our apartment. You know what it's like there. But it means I at least have an idea of what to do and what to. Oh, I'm not going to draw on these things. I'm going to sew sigils on these vests. I've learned a few things, some wards, whatnot. I mean, it'll protect you from, you know, bullets. If you put a stab plate in there, it'll help with that. And, you know, with any luck, the vests will stay with us even if we wind up in hospital pajamas.
Are there any other preparations or sort of planning or equipment that you want to arrange apart from weaponry and armor?
Well, we need to find the hotel throttle bin. Have we heard that name before?
Is that the one we had the napkin for?
No, that was the Gateway Bridges restaurant. I'm pretty sure that you must have come across the name Hotel Broadalbin in the night floors, although I don't, off the top of my head, know exactly how or when.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly
doesn't
seems
appear to
familiar to you.
Doesn't appear to exist in
Part of it was a
reality.
hotel, right? It had there was a manager, but I don't know if he did he give that name? It's been too long.
Not for the McAllister itself, no.
Okay.
So the only clue on how to get to the other place so far is to sleep facing the west wall in Michael Whitwer's hotel room.
No, one door is as good as another in the night floors, I think.
So I just checked in to confirm you have seen the name Hotel Broadalbin before. In the night floors, you found, actually, I think on the wall of Abby's apartment, you found a sheet of letterhead with a crude map drawn on it with the letterhead from the hotel.
I remember that.
Does that mean you want to head back to the Boxer Hotel? Where Yelena
Yeah.
mentioned Whitwer's room.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Sarah, I'm imagining you making some phone calls to arrange some things, and then the four of you head to the hotel. Does that sound right?
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
Sarah, would you include a machete?
You can buy that at a goddamn surplus store.
I just figured as long as you were shopping.
We can go to Sears or whatever. Yeah.
If I ask them for that, they're going to say what the same thing I just told you.
Fine.
You can buy that anywhere.
All right. So you all climb into. Well, actually, your car is not conveniently located. You if you check on your phones, you're going to find that you've woken up in a house that is like fairly close to the Dorchester, within 5 blocks or so. That does mean that you've got quite a trip to get to the Boxer Hotel. You parked you've left Felix's car at the Trivellino Mall, as I recall. You've left the
Well, that was a rental anyway, because I'm not that dumb.
Right. You've left the attacker's van at the Dorchester, so you don't have a car that's immediately available. Are you just going to call an Uber, or?
Yeah, we could just walk. It's only 5 blocks.
No, the 5 blocks to the Dorchester, it's like way across town to the Boxer.
Well, but don't we have the van at the Dorchester?
If you want to go pick up the van, you can do that.
We've got our gear, so it's late.
Well, it's early now.
Well,
the next morning.
I'll basically just look at Elena and say, hey, if you're willing to provide cover in case they get squirrely, I'll get in the van and drive.
Okay.
All right. So is the plan for all 4 of you to go try and pick up the van, or 2 of you going to pick it up while the other 2 wait, or how's that going to work?
Unless everybody's armed, I think the best idea is to have as few people as possible go.
All right. So Sarah, it's not going to be any trouble for you and Yelena to walk those few blocks. You'll find, the Dorchester, regular security and stuff are around. I guess there's probably not security guards outside. So yeah, you can just get into the van and drive it away. Make a luck roll. Call high or low.
Low. 31.
Okay. Nobody notices you get into the van and drive it away. So that means I think we will finish up here, and next time we'll pick up at the Boxer. I'm going to end the recording, and then we'll do some stars and wishes.